Assalamualaikum and hello. My name is Mio Adib Zakwan and I'm from the group 11 along with my team members Ahmad Ramadan Shukri and Muhammad Rafiq Redha. Now, our group will present the Cipher blockchaining mode of operation. The first question is how the mode can be implemented. So, referring to this figure, the implementation of cipher blockchaining, also known as CBC, is that the input to the encryption algorithm is the result of XORing the previous ciphertext block and the current plaintext block. To encrypt the first plaintext block, we use an initialization vector or IV, and we XOR the IV with the plaintext block and give the input to the encryption process to produce the first ciphertext block. And the first ciphertext block is used to XOR with the second plaintext block as an input to the next encryption process to produce the second ciphertext block, and so on and so forth. Next, we will proceed to Ramadan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mio. My name is Ramadan and I will continue for the next question. Question B asks to identify either the modes of operation is suitable for block ciphers or stream cipher, or maybe can be both. After we take a certain amount of time to discuss this question, we come to a conclusion where this cipher block chaining or CBC mode is suitable to only block cipher. How we got to this conclusion? We have only two reasons to support our conclusion. The first is CBC has the element of confusion. This means that we can determine the key based on ciphertext. We cannot determine the key because we do the encryption process multiple times as the operation is running. Between the block, the ciphertext changes every time even until the end of process. Since the ciphertext changes, it is hard to determine the key from ciphertext alone. And second and final point is that this mode has the element of diffusion. Diffusion means that if we change one bit of the input, at least 50% of the output should be different. This point is proven because we XOR the plaintext with the initialization vector before we encrypt using key. Then, we repeat this process with the next block until the end of operation. So, if we change a bit of input, it will for sure have a lot of difference at the output. That's all from me. Next part will be presented by Rafiq.
Thank you, Ramadan. My name is Rafiq and I will present the last part of our presentation. In this part, I will talk about the advantage and disadvantage of CBC based on each properties. The first property is identical messages. These properties fall into the advantage of CBC. This is because with the same plaintext message will result in different ciphertext. The reason for this is that the IV undergo changes with the different block. This point is presented by Mio. The next point is by Ramadan, which state that chaining dependency is the advantage the CBC. This is because ciphertext block depend on preceding plaintext block, which make it harder to decrypt. Since the harder to decrypt a ciphertext, the better this property become the advantage. The last two properties fall under the disadvantage, and this point are made by myself. The first is error propagation. The reason for this property to fall under disadvantage is because a single bit error in encryption will propagate to future block. So the final ciphertext cannot be decrypted into the original plaintext. The last property is efficiency, which also become disadvantage of the CBC. This is because the integrity of messengers will be flawed if it is not protected. I think that's all from us. Thank you. Dan Assalamualaikum.